What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Fishing OD. In today's video, I'm going to be going over my 2021 bass fishing setups. I'm going to be covering the rods, I'm going to be covering the reels, and I'm also going to be covering what techniques I'm going to be throwing on bass opener, which is actually tomorrow. As you guys know, I'm a shore fisherman, so I do a lot of shore fishing. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about this bag right there. So that's what's happening in this video. I warn you guys now, it's going to be a pretty long video. So if you guys stick with me, I really appreciate that. And without further ado, let's get right into the video. So in this video, we're going to be taking a look at 8 different combos that I currently have rigged up for bass opener. I got 2 rods that currently I don't have reels for, so I'm going to have to find something to add on to them later in the year. I'm also expecting a few more rods in the mail, so maybe later on in the season, midway through towards the end, I might do a little updated version of this video with the remaining equipment that I'll be getting. But for now, I'm going to show you guys what I have. I'll go over the combos and I'll go over very briefly what rods I have just kind of sitting here without reels. So we're going to start with the least expensive bait casting setup that I'm currently running for this year. And that bait casting setup is going to be my frogging setup. So as of right now, I haven't actually calculated the price of all of these. It's just based off of memory. Because as you guys know, I work at a fishing store myself, so I'm always selling these products. I kind of have a general idea at how much these cost. So this should be my least expensive combo, but again, it's going to be a very good quality, and to some it might actually be considered an expensive combo. So the first combo we're going to be taking a look at and breaking down is going to be this Shimano Intenza 7'4" heavy action. This is what I'm going to be using for frogs. I'm going to be using it for many different techniques, but mostly frogs and flipping jigs. This is going to be my rod to do all of that. As you guys can see, I have a frog currently tied on. I got a Corrado K 200 XG on here, 40-pound Power Pro. You could also go up to some 50. Currently I have 40 because that's all I had on hand. And this is gonna be a combo I'm gonna be throwing a lot this year. And I'm planning on throwing this first on bass opener on Friday. I believe this is gonna be the first combo I throw because I'm gonna be going out early morning, 5 a.m. to do some fishing in some ponds, in some canals, and along the banks of some of the lakes that I have in my area for some largemouth, because largemouth is my favorite species. So a lot of these combos that you're gonna see are currently catered for largemouth. I will be fishing a lot of tournaments this year, and those tournaments are gonna be mixed bags of largies and smallies. So for each tournament, I'm kind of gonna have to readjust my rods, swap some reels to different rods, change some lines and stuff. But what I'm showing you today is gonna be my rod setups for bass opener. And this is with the mindset of me targeting largies mainly. So keep that in mind when you're watching this video. So very briefly, I'll come back to the rod. Like I said, this is a heavy action rod, so it's very, very stiff, which makes it perfect for frogging. I like that generally that 7'3" to 7'4" length for frogging. Any longer and it's more suited for flipping, pitching, and stuff like that. I just find that 7'4" heavy perfect for frogging. And like I said, this is the Intenza. It's one of my least expensive combos for the year, but I believe this still comes out to close to $500 total for this combo. This reel's 260 plus tax Canadian, and this rod I believe is 220 plus tax, somewhere in that ballpark. So it is still a pretty expensive combo, but this is what I'm comfortable throwing. I started off at the bottom like everybody else. I still have some of my old reels, which I could show you at another time. But this is what I'm working with for my frogging setup, and I'll move on to the next one. All right guys, so my next rod and reel combo in a very similar price range is gonna be my big swim bait setup. If you guys have been watching this channel for a little while, you'll know that I am obsessed with throwing big swim baits. So this is gonna be my brand new swim bait setup. It's brand new for this year. We got some new products, and this is it right here. You might be thinking, it looks exactly like my other one, and you would be pretty much correct. This is basically a beefed up version of my last setup. Here we have the same reel, except this is a 300 size. This is the Corrado K 300. I got 65-pound Power Pro Super Slick V2 braid on here. And as far as the rod goes, this is another Shimano Intenza, but this is gonna be the 7'8" extra heavy. This rod is rated from 40 to 80-pound test braid. And as you guys can see, I currently have a Mega Bass Mag Draft swim bait tied on. I'm probably going to be throwing that on opener. I might switch to the Jackal Gantarelle. I might throw a little Savage Gear Sunfish. I might throw some different swim baits around opener, but we've had a really cold spell, and I don't know if that water temp is in that range for swim baits yet, but this is going to be my go-to swim bait setup for this season. I might have another one on the way. I'm not too sure yet. I'm looking for something a little bit heavier to throw my really big baits, like my soft trout swim baits and bigger glide baits and stuff, but for what I'm doing this year, this is already super good. I couldn't have asked for better. And I actually have another Corrado 300 on the way to potentially set myself up with a heavier setup. As far as that goes, that's pretty much it for this rod. I'm gonna put it down. All right, so my next setup, guys, is gonna be my multi-species, multi-purpose setup. This is gonna be a Shimano Intensa as well. It's a 7'2" medium heavy rod, and I currently have a Corrado DC HG on here with, I think, 30 or 40 pound braid. As you guys can see, I have a Jackal spinnerbait on there already. This is a lighter one. This makes for a really, really nice spinnerbait setup. But like I said, you can use this for all kinds of things. Early season in Zone 20 in Ontario, I was using this for chatterbaits. You could use it for jerkbaits, you could use it for flukes. But this is gonna be the rod and reel setup that I'm gonna be adapting to almost all my techniques. Like, this is gonna be that rod that I'm carrying with me when I can only carry 1 or 2 rods. It's gonna be this, because you can still throw up to 3/4 ounce. You got a fairly fast gear ratio on here. And overall, I just love fishing this setup for pretty much any technique. But like I said, ideally, it's gonna be your spinnerbaits, your chatterbaits. You could do some jerk baiting on it. It is a little bit longer. I do have some shorter rods for that, but a really, really nice all around multi-species setup right here. At bass opener, I'm probably gonna be switching the bait off. I'm probably not gonna be throwing a spinnerbait for the largies. I might put on a fluke on here, which I can almost bet you I'm gonna end up doing on Friday. So that's gonna be kind of my fluke rod for this Friday, this bass opener, and probably for a lot of the season. All right, we're kind of making our way through these rods here. I'm pretty happy. This is going pretty well so far. So my next 2 setups are gonna be fairly similar in price. Now we're working our way into, I believe, like close to the $500-600 range. I'm gonna show you my flipping setup for this season. This is a rod I've wanted for forever, and it was a really impulsive decision to buy it this year. I paid full price for it. It cost me close to $400 Canadian. And this is gonna be my 2020 Shimano Zodias setup. Zodias. This is gonna be my 2020 Shimano Zodias setup. This is the 7'5" heavy. I got a Corrado 70 MGLK on here. This is, I believe, the XG version. And as you guys can see, I already set up my Texas rig, my flipping rig, whatever you wanna call it. I already got that all set up. This is gonna be my go-to flipping and pitching setup this year. It is so sensitive. This rod is crazy light, crazy sensitive. It's one of the best rods I've honestly ever used. And it is definitely one of the nicest rods I've ever personally owned and paid for with my own money. This is just a dream setup, and I'm super happy that I have it, and I can't wait to use it this year. Like I said, I'm gonna be using Texas rig mainly on this. Sometimes I might throw some jigs on it. Sometimes I'll swap the reel out and put something with fluoro. I got another setup that I'm gonna show you right now, which has fluoro. Sometimes I might put that reel onto here just for a fluoro flipping setup. But I'm hoping to get another 7'4" heavy action Intensa in to have kind of 2 rods that can go back and forth between some different techniques. So that's it for my flipping setup. So now we're on to the last bait casting combo, and this is gonna be one that I've had trouble finding a place for in my arsenal. Not that it's a bad rod, not that it's a bad reel, but it's just because I kind of have this mental barrier that I can never get past, and if a rod says a specific technique on it, I kind of feel bad throwing other techniques on a rod that's made for a specific technique. So in this case, I'm gonna show you the Carolina rig rod that I have, but I can assure you that this is not all the rod can do. Okay, so this is probably my most expensive bait casting setup that I have currently. This is the G.Loomis IMX Pro Carolina rig rod, or as you G.Loomis guys like to call it, let me see here, the 874C CRR. So Carolina rig rod. This is 7'3" fast action, goes up to 3/4 of an ounce. And this is a super, super nice rod. I got it paired up with the Corrado 70K MGL. This is gonna be the HG version. I got some fluoro on here. This is 20 pound. And as you guys can see, I got a flipping jig on there right now. And you might be thinking, but Zach, it's a Carolina rig rod. And this is kind of where the problem lies for me, is that this is a perfect jig rod. 7'3", goes up to 3/4 of an ounce, so it's not too stiff. It is honestly perfect for jig fishing. It's just mentally, it's so hard to fish a jig on this when it's a Carolina rig rod, but that's the least of my worries. I'm gonna be using it for Carolina rigs, I'm gonna be using it for jigs, all kinds of things throughout the season, but this might be one of the setups I actually throw the least this year. Go figure, eh? All right, so that's it for my bait cast. I need some water. All right, so that's it for my bait casting combos. I'm gonna show you 2 rods that I currently have just lying around, no reels for them. And I'll kind of explain to you what I would use them for if I did have reels for them. All right, so the first one we're gonna cover is the new Shimano, is that upside down? My bad. All right, so the first one we're gonna cover is the new Shimano Claris. I have a rod in the way. The new Shimano Claris, look at that. This is gonna be one of the least expensive bait casting rods that I currently own. But let me tell you, it does not feel like an inexpensive bait casting rod. All the prices and all the links for everything that I can find from different websites, I'll be putting those down below. But the Claris, I believe, retails for $119.99 or $120. If you wanna be simple about it, it's 120 bucks this rod, Canadian, not US, Canadian. So, as far as a budget rod, and still to some of you this might not be a budget rod for 120 bucks, but for 120 bucks this is fairly entry level. But let me tell you, it is super light and it is super sensitive. For 120 bucks, I have yet to find a rod that feels better than the Claris in my hands. It comes with like a rubberized grip on it, very similar to that of the Intenza's grip. It's got a very nice reel seat. At the back here, it's blank, like the reel seat's blank, so you could always have contact with the rod. The hook keeper on this thing is beautiful. Look at the positioning. That is perfect. In a rod, that's where I love the hook keeper. The only drawback with something like that is your line can get stuck on it. But for the most part, I love having my baits either right here or all the way down here, which is very similar to the NRX Plus. The NRX Plus would be down here. The Claris that's up here, I really like this. This rod is a 7'2" medium heavy action, goes up to 3/4 ounce. So it is basically the exact same specs as my previous Intenza, which I just told you guys is my all-around kind of length and action. So again, this is gonna be kind of that all-around rod that I keep in a boat, probably with some braid or some fluoro, just to keep it different than the other rod. So like if I have braid on the other rod, I'll keep fluoro on this rod, just to have something more versatile. You know, I could do some light jigs on this, like flipping jigs. I could do some chatter baiting, some spinner baiting, some jerk baits, some swim baits even. You could do some smaller swim baits for some smallmouth, and you guys will see a lot more of that this fall. Come September, I'll be doing a lot more smallmouth bass fishing and muskie fishing, but bass opener is Friday. It is hot, and from now up until pretty much the end of August, all I'm gonna be targeting for the most part is largemouth bass, because that's one of my favorite species, and I've yet to break an official 6-pounder on the scale here in Quebec. So this year the goal is going to be to do that. I tried doing that last year, fished some big baits, had some encounters with some big fish, but nothing over 6 and nothing weighed over 6 on a scale. That's my goal, officially on a scale over 6 pounds largemouth. I'd be so happy. So that's enough of the Claris. Let's go on to the last bait caster. So the last bait caster is something that's actually pretty new to me. I've never purchased a rod with an action like this before. This is gonna be a Shimano SLX, and this is a 6'10" medium rod. This is gonna be an extra fast rod. So you guys can guess pretty much what I'm gonna be using this for. This is gonna be a jerkbait rod. This is gonna be a top water rod. Pretty much anything really where I'm keeping my rod low. I would even personally throw spinner baits on this. So this will be like my spinner bait rod, my jerkbait rod. I don't really know what else. Oh yeah, top waters, but I don't throw too many top waters, but this could be a very good top water rod. And I'm very excited to try this. I just need to find a reel for it. If you guys have any suggestions, leave them down in the comments below. I'm thinking I might just put an SLX on here. SLX XT, maybe the SLX MGL. Just something inexpensive to keep the budget kind of low on this rod. As you guys may know already, this rod retails, I believe, for $140, $150 Canadian. So it's a pretty affordable rod, just slightly more expensive than the Claris, but it's a great rod, and it is actually significantly lighter than the Claris for the difference in price. Even though the Claris is already really light, this rod is even lighter. So might be interesting for you guys. If you guys don't already own an SLX, might be interesting for you guys to take a look at. I don't know if you guys can see, but the rods are piling up pretty nice. All right, so you guys have made it this far already. We're almost there. We just have the spinning rods to talk about, and we have the tackle storage to talk about. But if you guys are still here, I just wanted to say I really appreciate you. And I would also really appreciate if you go ahead and left a like on this video, subscribe if you're new here, and that's pretty much all I have to say. So let's move on to the spinning rods. And as far as spinning rods go, I'm not really a spinning rod kind of guy, but I do know for a fact that there are certain situations that you want to be using a spinning rod for. And I'm no dummy. Some might say otherwise, but for the most part, I only need 4 spinning rods, and I'll kind of quickly skim through what these rods are, starting with the least expensive. Here we got the brand new Shimano Symmetry combo, and this again, is it focused? Ooh, the Shimano Symmetry combo. And this again, guys, this is gonna be a more budget setup. This is gonna be for you entry-level fishermen. This is gonna be for you guys that like to break rods. Despite the low cost, you're not gonna be sacrificing quality. You have an awesome reel. It is super smooth. You also have a pretty nice rod. It is definitely not gonna perform like a high-end rod like an NRX or even an Intenza. It's not gonna be similar to that. But as far as inexpensive combos go, I believe this retails for around $140 for the combo. I could be wrong, I'll put the exact price up here. But for the price of this rod, it is honestly better than anything I started with. You know, this reel is super smooth, the rod is fairly light. This is a 2-piece model. This is the 7-foot, medium heavy, fast action. It goes up to 3/4 ounce. Obviously it's a combo. Like I said, it comes with the Symmetry reel. This was a reel that actually existed a while ago, was discontinued, and Shimano brought it back in combo form. I got 15-pound Power Pro Super Slick on here, and this was actually my go-to early season walleye setup. Unfortunately, you guys didn't get to see any videos on that because I didn't have a very successful walleye season so far this year. I haven't managed to get out on a boat, and from shore, water levels are way too low. If you guys are from Montreal, you guys all know the struggle. But this is gonna be a great setup. I'm gonna be using it for tubes, Senkos, a lot of those heavier techniques that I'm gonna be doing, whether I'm in grass or around rocks and I need to fish heavier line for bigger fish. This is what I'm gonna be using. So my next setup is gonna be one that you guys have seen a lot of if you've been following this channel for a long time. I've had this setup already now for I think over 2 years. This is gonna be my tube setup, and I like to call it my tube setup, but it is actually my tube and Senko setup. So this is 1 rod and 1 reel combo that I only use for 2 techniques for the most part. For the majority, I'm using this for tubes and Senkos, but I also do throw swim baits on a jig head sometimes, but I wouldn't say too often because most of the time I'll be throwing it on a baitcaster. But this is a 7-foot medium heavy Shimano SLX, and I have a 2500 size Nasky on here with 10-pound braid. And this is really my go-to setup for dragging tubes, Senkos, and occasionally swim baits. Because for the price, this is a very lightweight combo. It is fairly inexpensive. The reel retails at like $140. The rod, I believe it's around the same thing. So you're looking at like a sub $300 setup, whether you're including tax or not. It'll be right around that $300 range. This is an awesome setup, and I beat the hell out of this reel. I don't know if you guys can see that. I don't know how that's coming out for you guys on camera. It doesn't matter. I've been fishing this setup for a really long time, and it has yet to fail me. I've fished the Nasky in saltwater. I've done all kinds of fishing on it. And as you guys can see, it is already pre-rigged. I got a wacky rig hook. This is just a finesse wide gap hook. And I'm gonna be using this for Senkos on bass openers. So that's already pre-rigged for the season, and I can't wait to get out there. 2 more rods. So the next rod is gonna be by far my favorite spinning setup that I've actually ever used, despite not even being the most expensive that I currently own. This is by far my favorite setup. This is gonna be the 7'6" light Shimano Intenza paired up with a 2500 Stratic CI4 Plus. I haven't gotten my new Vanford in yet, so ideally I would have a Vanford on here just because it's newer. This reel is already a couple years old, but for now this does the job beautifully. This is one of the lightest setups that I have as far as both weight and power. This rod is a 7'6" light, guys, but it's not like a trout fishing light. It's not like a panfish fishing light. it's a bass light, so it's not going to be as light as those other rods that I just named. It's going to have a very, very nice backbone with a very, very light tip. It is awesome. It's by far one of my favorite actions. I throw drop shots on this. I throw Ned rigs on this. I throw just about anything you can throw on this. Hair jigs, small swim baits. This thing does everything. As far as an all-around rod for any finesse style fishing, this is what I go with as far as an action. 7'6" light. It doesn't have to be the Intenza. The Intenza is the least expensive rod that I found that has this action. But you could find it in the Zodias. You can find it, I believe, in the X Pride, maybe. I'm not too sure. I think so. But definitely in the NRX Plus lineup, you can find it, which I currently don't have right now. But I do have an NRX Plus, and that is my last rod of the day. All right, guys. So here is my baby. This is the 821S NRR, which for you guys that don't speak G.Loomis translates to 6'10" medium light Ned rig rod. Sheesh. Even I don't know how to read G.Loomis. I think 82 inches and 1 power. I think that's what that equates to. I don't know. This is gonna be my Ned rig rod. Like I said, I love throwing Ned rigs on the other one, but I do have this one, and this is really made for Ned rigs, and this is by far the most expensive setup I own currently. The G.Loomis. If I'm being honest, I don't even know the exact price of the NRX. It's pretty high up there. But this is the Altegra reel, and you guys saw me do a video on it a little bit earlier this year, and it is by far one of my favorite reels for the price. I believe this retails at around $219.99 Canadian. So it is a really, really nice affordable reel, and it is very, very similar to the Stratix CI4 Plus. Like a lot of those Shimano reels, it is very similar in its build, in its technologies, and for the price, it's just really hard to beat. I got some 10-pound Power Pro Super Slick V2 braid on here, and I forgot to mention that's what I have on the Intenza setup as well. The 7'6" light is 10-pound Power Pro Super Slick V2 braid, and I just have a little Ned rig set up. This rod is only really gonna come out when I'm doing smallie fishing, and I don't know exactly when I'm gonna get to go smallie fishing, but on bass opener, I'm gonna be targeting largies for the most part, so this rod might actually stay at home. All right, guys, so those are gonna be my setups for this 2021 season. And like I said, if I get anything else that comes in, I will be doing an update video at some point this year with my completed setups. And if you guys are interested, let me know down in the comments below if you want me to show you my updated version for smallie fishing. Because like I said, when September comes around, the big smallies like to push shallow, they like to push up, and they like to put the feed bag on, as you guys know. So I'm gonna be targeting a lot more smallies in the fall. Especially if the border opens up, it'll be a big deal for me, considering a lot of my smallie fishing happens more out west. But like I said, if you guys want an updated version come smallie season, kind of to how I'm adjusting my rods and what techniques I'm gonna be throwing on those rods, let me know down in the comments below. So the last thing I wanna talk about before you guys head out, don't click away just yet, I want to talk to you guys about my tackle storage. As you guys know, I am a shore fisherman, and I'm sure a lot of you are as well. Or if you're just the type of person that hops in from boat to boat, kind of like me, you need somewhere to keep your tackle every time you're traveling. In the past, I kind of just used to throw all my tackle in my car, and when I would drive around, I'll just pull out what I need and put it in a backpack. But now, literally every problem that I've ever had as a shore fisherman has been answered. My prayers have been answered, and I picked up, oh, that's heavy. I picked up this beauty backpack right here. It's huge. I don't even know how I'm gonna show you guys all of this. So this beefy boy right here is the Shimano Black Moon bag. This thing is insane. When I say it answered all my prayers, they've literally thought of everything. So I'm just gonna kind of hold this up for you. On the side, you guys can see spot for the pliers. In the front, I have my scissors. This is like a little pouch where you can kind of put stuff in. That's cool and all, I guess. Obviously on the side, you have a zipper pocket here, which I don't think I'm using currently. And on this side, you got a water bottle holder, and I have some stuff in here. I don't even know what. The magic happens when you open this bad boy up. Where's the zipper? All right, look in here. Boom. Oh, I'm not supposed to see that. What is that? I don't fish with that garbage. What is that? All right, well, look at these. These are little storage bags, and these actually come off, and inside I got some soft plastics. These suck, don't use them. They're no good. Just kidding, Guggen Baits, I love you. Very good soft plastic. Not sponsored, by the way. Look at this setup. I have bags of plastics. I got my flipping baits here. I got, what is this, trailers. I got Senkos and flukes. I got all kinds of stuff in here ready for bass opener. This is all the stuff I'm actually gonna be bringing on Friday, tomorrow actually for you guys. This is everything I'm gonna be bringing tomorrow for my bass opener. Oh, it undid. I didn't Velcro it well enough. And I got a little bag of spools down here. If I turn this around, you also have these pouches, which I'm currently not using. You got 2 of them, which you can put some stuff in, but I'm sure at some point I will find the use for them. And the next aspect of this bag is obviously gonna be your tray storage. So this one, you have to lay it down. Wow, it's so tall, look at this. Oh, can't even focus on my face. Oh, I'm trying to do this for you. Tray storage. So this just kind of lays flat. You got 1 tray, 2 tray, 3 tray, and I managed to squeeze in a little small one here on the side. That's what it looks like. Looks like a suitcase fudge. You got more zipper packs back here that you can put some stuff in. Again, I personally have nothing to use this for as of right now, but I'm sure I'll find a purpose for it at some point. And these aren't the trays that this comes with. I'm saving those trays for when I'm doing my day trips, like I said. Right now, this is kind of just my largy boxes. I got my big hard swim baits box with my Gantarel in there, Jackal Douse swimmer. I got the Ninja Bitchin' Twitchin' glider, whatever it's called. I got the S wavers. I got all kinds of hard baits in there. I did a full video on that. I'll link that right up here. I also have my soft swim bait box. Got some Savage gear. Got some Mega Bass Mag drafts in there. Got some other cool stuff. And I have my all-around largy box that just has some whopper ploppers, some frogs, some flipping jigs, some underspins, some flipping hooks. And in here, I just got my terminal tackle. I got wacky rings. I got offset worm hooks. I got EWGs in here. I got pegs. I got tungsten weights. I got all kinds of stuff in there, and that all tucks up nicely. I don't know if I can show you this. Just like that. Tucks up nicely, and then zips up. And like I said, this is a shore fisherman's dream. I wish I would have had this when I was 12 years old, 11 years old, when I was biking to all my spots. I wish I had this. Would have made life so much easier. But it is not cheap. I'll link it down below for you guys if you want to check it out. But it is definitely going to make my season a lot simpler. And I'll be doing lots of videos with it. So thank you guys so much for sticking with me during this video. I know it was long, but I hope you guys got something out of it. Maybe you learned something. Maybe I convinced you to get a new setup. If I did, again, let me know down in the comments below. I would love to know which setup interested you the most. Which one do you wish you could have? Which one are you going out to get? All kinds of stuff, let me know down in the comments below. I'd be so curious to know. And if you're new here, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate that. And if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit that bell button. That way you can get notified as to when I post a new video. I guess all I have left to do is go out tomorrow and catch some fish and upload a dope shore bass fishing video for you guys. So thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace. If you guys have been watching this channel, for a little while, you guys will know. If you guys have